So I've got two stepper motors running off Uno power supply and UCL and A2000, I think they are, microboard and LED construct servo board, driver boards. So I've got two servo motors being programmed to do specific movements with a servo function in the sequence as well. I've only hooked up one of the servos here, but I didn't want to stress the Uno power supply running two steppers plus the servo, multiple servos. But for the total project of arc radius versus core XY, this is the foundational element and building blocks for the entire programmable mechanism. We've got a main rotor stepper, which is programmed as the arc drawing, and then we've got a shaft movement which moves the radius movement, which is the second stepper motor. The servo provides the pen up mechanism for gaps or for a non-continuous drawing, or not a non-continuous line drawing. You can see here with the code I've included two libraries, the stepper.h library and the servo.h library. I've set the steps per revolution for the two stepper motors, the 28 BJY 48s, as 512. And then I've set the steppers as my stepper and my stepper 2 and staggered the pins 4, 6, 5, 7 and 8, 10, 9, 11 for the inputs. The void setup is setting the speed of the servo, the stepper motors, which is all relative to basically your own mind. And then I've servo attacked the third pin on the Arduino Uno as the servo. So I'm running 4 pins per stepper motor, and then that's 2 stepper motors plus a pin for the servo signal, and I'm running at 9 pins. And I've set up the 5-volt ground loop on the bridges of the breadboard, which powers the 2 stepper motors, the UCLA 2000 and the servo motor. These are programmable via telling it how many steps you want it to move. So if you want it to rotate 10 times, well, you, instead of putting 190 in here, you can put in, say, 6,000, and it's about 2100 steps per one rotation. So if I want it to move 3 times complete revolution, well, I'll set it to 6,600. Now in the servo right function, I've set it as 180 degrees as the initial, and then 0, and this will allow me to do a pen up mechanism. When I construct the housing for the machine, the arc radius machine, well, I'll set the servo to 180, but depending on the manufacturing of the carousel that the servo is actually moving, the pen mechanism, the pen holder mechanism, moving it up and down, well, I'm not sure whether 180 is actually the best, and maybe some pauses are involved so it doesn't get jammed, some appropriate delay times to actually signify and to make the pen up mechanism work. Well, maybe 180 degrees isn't the best angle, maybe it's about 105 degrees. Maybe with what the servo's got to be set to should be something not 180, not necessarily just an on-off 180 complete rotation. But I do know that it will definitely be 1 set degrees for every movement of the pen, whereas the 2 stepper motors, well, they'll have different values for every single design. Now, the purpose of the machine in its speed allocation, well, it doesn't have to be fast to be sort of something. So with all my delays in between individual stepper movements and servo pen up functions, well, I'm going to include delay time. And it may even need to be slowed down some of the stepper motor times for certain maneuvers, you know. So if the stepper motor has only a half-second delay between the pen up, there might be a bit of a jump, and the pen might not stick first time, and it doesn't have sufficient time to center itself. Yeah,